The Economist published an interview with Zaluzhny and also his article essay.
Very honest, very true, and let's talk about this honestly.
Hi, this is BBua Ukraine Analytics. My name is Bogdan Butkevich and I am Ukrainian journalist and vlogger.
Hello, dear friends, and I'm Olena Vostrova, a Ukrainian vlogger. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done it yet. Give us your likes, and thanks a lot for your comments, especially for those comments where you recommend us how to improve our work and how to develop our channel so more people can see the truth about Ukraine and Russia-Ukraine war. Thank you very much.
Yes, here we give you top news, analytics and insights about Ukraine, Russia-Ukraine war and Ukraine inner politics from, Ukrainian perspective.
So, Zaluzhny's essay and interview are very important in terms of the message for both Ukrainians and for the West.
As a matter of fact, the White House, through the words of John Kirby, National Security Council Strategic Communications Coordinator, said that this article emphasized how important it is to support Ukraine for White House and USA.
I think it underscores how important it is that we continue to support Ukraine. I can't stand here today and tell you that it's going to lead to this particular weapon system or this new capability. We are evolving and have evolved what we provided Ukraine as the war itself has evolved, and I suspect that that process will continue. It would be eminently easier for us to do that if Congress would pass the supplemental funding that supports Ukraine, because it's not only about capabilities for Ukraine, there's a big chunk of that goes to replenishment ability for U.S. For our own inventory.
Perhaps most valuable is that the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine admits that he made mistakes in his assessment of the situation in general, in his planning and his forecasting.
He admits that hopes that the Russian Federation will not have enough, resources are futile. Russians, got time to leak their wounds and use it. It's a very great pity, but effectively.
General Zaluzhny speaks openly and without embellishment about the place in which we are now, in which we find ourselves. And he offers ways to solve the most important task, the liberation of Ukraine and ensuring security.
He talks about the need to increase mobilization efforts, about national defense production, about the importance of technologies, about the need to find new ideas, ways and methods of getting out of the impasse, the dead end in which we have our situation.
After all, the war now resembles the positional stalemate of the Western Front of the Great War at the end of 1916.
That's after the huge mutual offensives of the Germans at Verdun and allies on the Somme, the result of which were, only a million killed, tens of millions of shells fired, and an advance of a couple of kilometers long.
The Ukrainian war is now rapidly approaching the same scenario. Technology is needed to avoid this, and mobilization is needed as well as additional material reserves. It is also about our own Ukrainian production of ammunition and equipment. To avoid the transition to a positional war, it is necessary to develop capabilities and find new approaches to overcoming military parity with the enemy, with the Russian enemy. So, 5 points are necessary to overcome this at this stage of the war. And first of all, and number one, it is gaining air superiority.
Number two, overcoming the deeply echeloned system of mine barriers.
Number three, increasing the effectiveness of counter-battery fighting.
Number four, increasing the effectiveness of electronic warfare.
And number five, that's creation and preparation of necessary reserves.
The authorities are very reluctant to talk about mobilization. After all, Zelensky is already planning presidential election for the next year.
And he really doesn't want to send people younger than 27 years old to the front, because he believes that this is his warm audience.
Yeah, but it is necessary to raise this topic, and Zaluzhny took it upon himself. because the topic is unpopular, corrupt, through and through, but it is really the first point of maintaining defense to have someone to fight.
In his interview, the commander-in-chief, in fact, continued the vector set by the material in time. He also dispersed this pink fog a little.
Yes, quick and easy is not about this war. Everybody must understand this. He defines the situation as a positionally identical to a specific stage of the First World War, Great War. This should have a sobering effect on many people.
On the other hand, General Zaluzhny also told the Allies that they were unacceptably late and continue to be late with the provision of more powerful and long-range weapons.
And that in order to get out of this war as acceptable as possible, Ukraine will need a considerable amount of specialized equipment. For example, the air defense systems, electronic warfare systems, drones of various specializations, etc.
And the West, if it doesn't want to get a long, protracted war in Europe, should think about increasing aid.
General Zaluzhny is not fond of inadequate showing off, and he's not focused on a quick one-stage entry into the borders of 1991, as Zelensky has been insistently shouting about this for the last year.
That is, in essence, Gen Zaluzhny, dampened enthusiasm and eventually introduced rational, down-to-earth trends in the discussion of the war in Ukraine.
Taking into consideration the current mood of the Allies, this is the optimal solution. A realistic conversation in numbers and points with a basic focus on the war's development of events.
It is what will more likely allow, even under new trends, to preserve and possibly even increase armed support from allies.
Commander-in-Chief Zaluzhny keeps up with changing global trends and timely issued adult, correct analytics with a post-operational analysis of events, as it should be according to in NATO standards.
In contrast to Zelensky, who has already obviously fallen into a complete misunderstanding of how to conduct politics.
After all, an ineffective and corrupt environment is absolutely ineffective in internal state administration. And the tactic of cavalry charges in a heap with constant non-fulfillment of the obligations assumed in communication with Western allies leads to fatigue from Zelensky and unwillingness to deal with him. And I will add from, myself, maybe from Elena also. The first thing to do, based on Zaluzhny's words, is to completely change the communication strategy of the political leadership of Ukraine in communications with people and Western allies. It is necessary to stop engaging in disgusting PR and spreading sugary nonsense about Bakhmut in 3 days, Crimea to autumn. We will defeat everyone and we will have the very quick,
victory.
Yeah.
Yes, and it is necessary to close the United News telethon to form a coalition government, to bet on professionals, regardless of their political affiliation, to forget about any elections.
Do not interfere in military matters. Do not promise the impossible. Roll up your sleeves, bite your lip, work a lot, and don't steal.
Gen Zaluzhny is right. We need new technological solutions, revolutionary ideas for the turning point in this war.
Tanks provided the turning point at the First World War, Great War. Aviation played the first violin in the Second World War. Today, drones took first place. But a turning point in the war requires many long-range drones, very long-range, and a lot.
And the understanding that such wars are won by full concentration of all forces.
The time for PR and populism in the name of Zelensky has passed. Time to get down to work.
That's all for today, dear friends. Please write your comments right under this video.
And for sure, give us your like, and it will be very great if you will subscribe to our channel if you want to get objective information about Ukraine directly from Ukrainians.
Yes, please subscribe to our channel, because here we give you top news, analytics and insights about Ukraine, about Ukrainians, about our inner politics, and about Russia-Ukraine war, of course, from the inside, from the Ukrainian perspective. So if you want to know what Ukrainians think about and how they feel about this war and what they know about what's going on in Ukraine, welcome to our channel.
See you.
Па-па.